Jeremy Taylor, the Brit on the radio in your lugholes. Let me gently introduce, in an amusing application of elusive alliteration used with the pointed, pungent perspicacity, a thrilling threnody, a rapturous, rippling robustness. Our panel for tonight, of course, the indefatigable and somewhat indomitable, if often irrefutable, Kathleen Taylor.
Hello.
Yes. Pardon?
Ding,
Need a room.
ding,
French fries
ding.
are ready.
The lovely Alena is with us tonight. She's been with us before. She has come all the way from home out of Chicago.
All the way.
You will
All
note
the way from
that she
there.
has something of a dry humour. Dr. Orlando is with us.
Hello there, children.
Hello, children. Josh is with us, having come back from D.C., a gig in D.C. he's been doing. And, of course, Count Ivanov is with us. Good evening, Count. Yes, as they say in Vampirish, or something like that.
Dude, he still thinks you're a vampire.
Yes. So all sorts of interesting things going on. First of all, we wanted to ask about movies. What was the last movie you regretted watching? Have you ever walked out of a theatre? And what is the worst thing a movie can do in regards to you being able to enjoy it? And so a number of my colleagues, I have to just tell you, have walked out of movies, and we can't remember the movie that we walked out of, which is interesting.
That's okay. I think it's a good starting point to know whether or not we have walked out of movies. And the reason I say that is because I've only ever done it once myself. Like, I only recently found a movie so aberrant that it was like, I don't mind giving up the $8 or $12 or whatever it was that I'm like watching this movie for. It's not worth my time to finish it, so I'm gonna tap out. It was not the most recent Wes Anderson movie, but the one right before it.
The Isle of Dogs?
Yeah, no, not Isle of Dogs. I actually liked Isle of Dogs.
Moonrise Kingdom, or the one about the hotel?
The one about the hotel. That's the one. Yeah, hated it.
Dude, I didn't see it in a theater, but I tried
That's
to
a
watch
great
it
one.
on TV. It's terrible.
Yeah,
I turned it off.
He saves the girl from
The Grand Budapest Hotel.
yeah. No.
And you can't remember, Jeremy, the movie you walked?
I
Maybe
have
it was
n-
Memento.
No, it was a film with the guy from Ghostbusters in it, and there was snow. Bill Murray, and there was snow, and there was funny little animals in it, and
Groundhog Day?
it's the film with
No,
Bill Murray
that's too
in
old.
Oh, then he's doing it.
it. No, I cannot remember. I have tried for 2 weeks to think about what the film was.
It
And
was
I have
so
no
forgettable
idea.
that you don't remember.
And and it was with Kathleen,
I don't remember it either.
I think.
But you guys have walked out of a movie.
Maybe it was
Well,
my
he says
second
we
wife.
have.
I don't know.
I know I have walked out of a theater
Right.
once,
Uh-huh.
and it was one you probably wouldn't think of walking out of. It was in London, a London production of Les Miserables.
Oh, well, I could see that.
Yeah, and the seats were so uncomfortable.
Huh.
We were sitting there with our knees up to our chests and pressing,
Like in Coach.
Yeah, and they were supposed to be good seats. It was just boring as shit, and we left at the halftime.
No, I
Yeah.
tell you,
Intermission.
a movie, like a testament for a really bad movie is when you walk out while watching an indie airplane. then you know the movie is really horrific.
Get me out of here! I watched, can I do one?
Yep.
Yeah.
I watched, sorry, now I have a fry in my mouth.
That was the perfect time.
Yeah. I watched
Swallow.
Nicholas Winding Refn's film, Only God Forgives, in theaters, and I did not watch out because I went with a friend. I didn't walk out because I was there with a friend, but I would like close my eyes and like scream into his like.
Was it a horror movie?
No, it's not a horror movie, but it's incredibly gory, and that's what I cannot handle in a film.
Yeah.
If a film gets like that,
Right.
and I'm sitting there like almost puking, and everybody else is dead-eyed watching it like.
Why? Why
Like-
do they like
like-
that stuff?
I don't know.
Because it's fantastic. But,
Oh, come on.
anyways, so I can't remember the last movie I walked out of because I'm a huge movie fan. But I can tell you the last movie that I fell asleep in at the theater,
What was that then?
which is every cartoon.
Oh, really?
Oh, I cannot. I'll go to
mom's
the
like that.
best cartoon movie and I'll have a bunch of popcorn and then soda. And
You
then
don't want to know the end of Frozen?
I fall asleep because I've watched so many gosh darn cartoons in the last 16 years with 3 kids that I'm over it. Totally over it.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
more cartoons. I can't do it.
Well,
Except for the Isle of Dogs. I liked it.
Isle of Dogs was great. I have watched some horrible movies lately. I really, for some reason, endured the entire Happy Time Murders with Melissa McCarthy, which is a horrific.
That is a terrible movie.
That
We
is-
watched that movie.
might be one of the worst movies ever
We
made.
thought it was going to be fantastic because of this.
Melissa
just the-
McCarthy.
Yeah, and just the spin of the whole Sesame Street Muppets thing.
It's
terrible.
Henson, the Henson Company made that movie. It was about Muppets living with people in New York and having sex and doing killing and drugs, and it was so
And
horrific.
you didn't suspect that was going to be a terrible
I
movie?
The
suspected it,
satire,
but
though.
yeah,
Like, we thought it was going to be really, like,
yeah.
funny because of the satire and making
Yeah.
fun of that
Okay.
generation of Muppets. Because the Muppets movies were so popular,
And
right?
cheesy, yeah.
Yeah.
But and also the idea that the Muppets living with among people were segregated against. They were kind of lower class, so there was a social element in it. But it was incredibly horribly executed and horribly written. Another movie that I watched in the theater, it was like taking a bullet for the president. I went because my wife and her best friend wanted to go, and so I took a bullet basically. Yes, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, Part 2. It was Mamma Mia Part 2, subtitle Here We Go Again. The only reason I didn't walk out of the theater was because this movie somehow disabled my spinal column between the 5th and 6th vertebra, which is your motor nerves located there.
And
I
your
couldn't
wife
walk.
had the car keys.
I couldn't walk. No, I would have walked to the North Pole. This movie had everything it shouldn't have. It had singing Pierce Brosnan. It had horrific off-key tunes. It had every cliche in
She
the
was
book.
like, I'm getting new clothes
Yeah.
by the beach. That was like a whole song.
Oh my God, it was horrible. And at the end, Cher showed up at the end. She's pushing 80. She looked younger than absolutely everybody, including little children that were in that movie. It was frightening. It looked like somebody put her on an ironing board and ironed her face with an iron. It was ridiculous.
That is the latest.
Yeah, and she frightened the crap out of me. But really, to tell you the truth, the one thing that I can't, because part 2 of the question, and Jeremy is very smart to ask this, or Lewis, I'm not sure who composed the question.
It was a group effort.
Yeah, he says, what is the worst thing a movie can do in regards to you being able to enjoy it? And there's a few things. First of all, I can't stomach sequels anymore. They're predictable. They're driving me insane. The only 2 sequels that are worth mentioning is Godfather and Aliens. Everything else is total crap. And I can't handle it anymore. I cannot stand torture porn. I cannot stand the movies like Hostel, Saw, all of this shit that's designed to just gross you out and outdo each other.
So I read an interview with Nicholas Winding Refn after I watched that film to try to understand a little bit of where he was coming from. And it was very sad to me because within the interview, the interviewer asked, why are your films like so graphic? And he said, it's gotten to the point in my life, I've been in the industry for so long, that the only things he finds interesting are violence and sex. And I was like, maybe he should have taken a break and like gone on vacay.
Read a book.
Agreed.
Like,
Can
read a
I
book,
just ask a
go on
question?
vacay.
Can I just ask a question? When you get to a certain period in life, as the producer was saying, the only things that get me going are violence and sex. Do you get past violence and it's just sex?
So I'm curious to know if it works the other way. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard the joke that when Mick Jagger and what's
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Jagger and David Bowie did Dancing in the Streets, they slept together, and it was because they had slept with every woman on the planet at that point, and so the
They
only
were
thing that
bored.
was left was like each other.
They love each other.
British man.
Yeah, exactly.
sex.
So
Maybe they just loved each other and needed to justify it.
You know-
that might have been it.
And you know,
Can I just ask, was something wrong with that? What?
Oh no, nothing wrong. Like I'm not judging,
right.
not judging at all. But like the idea behind it though is that like you can just become so desensitized to sex. I've never lived that life, so I can't imagine it. But
And you're not
We
English.
know better than that.
And you're not British, and you've never been to a British public school.
but you know, as a
Or you've never been Catholic.
well, there's that.
the one thing that ruins movies for me the most is quite possibly the most is lazy writing. And as a writer, you know, because I've been trying to write for 20 years or so, maybe more, and noticing lazy writing drives me insane. Condescending music, soundtracks also drive me insane. But condescending music, like when there's a sappy moment, you have the swelling music. When there's a comedic moment, you have music that tells you how you're supposed to feel.
What's
instead
lazy
of
writing mean?
Okay, cliches. Let's say, let's talk about this. God damn it, because this is gonna drive me. I'm gonna go off the. I'm gonna go insane
knew
here
it.
because it drives me insane. Fucking walking away from a massive explosion slowly with the same expression on your face. Instead of being blown 200 yards away with your hair on fire, you're walking slowly away. Your face it has the same expression as when you're watching C-SPAN. No muscle moves on your face. And you're just slowly walking away and never turn back.
Every rock movie.
Every fucking ridiculous Rocky movie. How about this? You're in a car chase, involved in a car chase, and you never run out of gas, ever. You're going in a romantic comedy, you come home from the grocery store, there's always a French baguette in your grocery bag. Yeah.
Kiss for the first time just when they're about to die.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
always.
Yeah, I want to do one of those things. Just once. I want to do one. I want to rise slowly from a body of water while clutching a combat knife in my teeth. Even though both my hands are free, I have a holster, but you know, I have to come out of the water with a combat knife
So
in my
you'd have your boys in the holster.
Yeah.
Pause for a second. So, the first time you saw that, were you as pissed off as you are now?
No, it's a gradual process.
Okay.
You know, when you see enough of fucking nuclear devices, I just once want.
So you can't-
I want to disable a nuclear device that always, for no particular reason, always has a countdown clock. And always has two wires that look exactly the same. Two fucking wires.
Well,
And-
hang on a minute. But you know, when Bond, Commander Bond,
Yeah.
you know, works for the Queen.
Yeah.
When he went in and disabled the atomic weapon in the film Goldfinger,
Yes,
in the
yes.
gold bullion place,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You know, he was going to go snip, right? He
Yeah.
was going to go for it.
Yeah.
And he would have got it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and that was real. I mean, you know, Commander Bond's a real person.
All I know is, and speaking of Bond,
Go, guys.
speaking of Bond, he's freaking me out. It's just driving me insane. How about I just once want to be in a situation where I'm captured by the villain, and instead of killing me, he gives me a half an hour lecture on early existentialism, just so he can give me enough time for me to kill him.
I have to admit
Yeah.
that's one of the
lazy
things that
writing.
bugs me. Like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff bugs me. Like, just
Come
kill
on.
me. Just kill him already.
Yeah. How about when you're about to steal a car? Just once. Just once. I want to have a fight on a moving train, 100 miles an hour, on the roof of a moving train, 100 miles an hour, and and I'm throwing a roundhouse kicks, and landing on the same spot. It's okay.
Hey, BuzzFeed.
Have you ever seen the movie Heat?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Al Pacino.
someone-
Yeah. Val
Robert De
Kilmer.
Niro.
Yeah.
Do you guys like that movie?
I do.
You love it? So there's a part in that movie that I can't get past. I love the movie, but there's it ruins it for me, like in a way that like I just can't comprehend. It's when they take the guy out of the truck stop and they're going to kill him, right? And De Niro has the gun on him. And then the cop car just happens to come by, and De Niro just, like, his buddies are all out there, but he just moves enough away to get away from it,
So just
and then he
so you-
disappears.
So you know,
And it's-
just so
it's
you know,
gone.
Yeah,
just so you
it's-
know, when I'm in a situation like that, I am running away from explosions. I just run away from the truck stop. I just run away.
Run away, dig a hole, anything but walk slowly without turning back.
Right.
So let's drag you back, can I? Because this is my job. Let's
brink.
drag you back
From the brink.
to what the original question was. What was the last movie you regretted watching? And tag on to the end of that. What's the worst thing a movie can do in regards to you being able to enjoy it? And
Gore.
for me,
Too much gore.
it was Saving Private Ryan, which was, I don't know, 20-something years ago. Watching Saving Private Ryan, having met some of the Marines who they used when they filmed it. But the thing that I thought was worse, that I still think about now, was how it, I don't know exactly, reminded me because I wasn't there, but the realism of it, of men. It wasn't like Arnie, sort of rather like Evo was just, I beg your pardon, sorry. Thank goodness you weren't here last week.
I know.
It's not like when Arnie shouts to the helicopters and he's machine gunning everybody and no one dies, you know, or they can take a 30 caliber bullet in the chest and no screaming.
Stylized. It was too realistic
Yeah,
for you.
and towards the end, a German is bayoneting somebody, and the somebody says, "I'm not ready," and the German puts his hand over the guy's eyes and does away with him. And that's, as I understand it, what really happened.
Yeah.
And, you know, that stuck with me for 25 years, and it's just a film.
Yeah, but see, it's not the film's job to worry about your PTSD. The film's job in this case was brilliant because it wanted to show us the real horrors of war,
Right.
make it as realistic as possible to warn us about what happens and not be stylized. It's so video game-like the way they portray a lot of times wars in movies that people get desensitized. And you know, Saving Private Ryan wanted to show us the true horrors of war. But I agree with Josh about breaking the fourth barrier. That's a big crime in movie making when you hit us with those cliches. And I want one time to perform CPR on somebody that has just flatlined, like a beautiful woman.
No, you don't.
No, and bring her back to life. Bring her back to life by only after screaming, "Get up! Get up! Don't die on me! Don't die! You never gave up on anything in your life. Don't do it now."
Hey,
You
Dad,
know, and then they. Yeah.
That's not CPR.
Yeah.
Did you all see Orson, on a related note, did you see Orson Welles' drunk wine commercial? Because that's the best commercial I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, my commercial was somebody actually gets drunk.
Oh,
Excellent.
It's the outtakes where he's just sloshed trying to be like, "This white wine is the best white wine I've ever had in my life." And there's like 40 takes of it, and it really sold the white wine. Like, I was like, I would really love a glass of that.
Okay, let's move on to another question for our. So, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been watching. I suppose the whole country's been watching Governor Ralph Northam, who started off by apologising for appearing, he said, in blackface in a medical school yearbook. The day after, he said it wasn't him, and he didn't resign. Of course, we've got all the stuff going on about his lieutenant governor. By the way, that's how you pronounce lieutenant. And he's more recently stated that he wasn't in the picture, but he may have dressed in blackface. Again, he apologised, but he's not resigning. And very clearly, he isn't intending to resign. I'm interested in what people think about this Governor Ralph Northam guy. You know, should he resign? Did he do it? How do we know? Do we care?
Okay, I'm just gonna chime in here.
Oh, Josh is just going to chime in there.
Is-
you weren't
is-
asked. It
I
wasn't
know.
your turn. You're
Has
just
it-
going to go for it, aren't you?
So this is a good segue from movies, right? We were talking about movies. There was a fabulous movie in the 80s called Soul Man.
Soul Man.
Soul Man with C. Thomas Howell, okay? Where he changed himself into a black man, right? He got some special drugs and became a black man, right?
Yeah.
Was that taken from the book Black Like Me?
I have no clue, but an 80s
okay.
movie. I don't even think you can find that 80s movies anymore because people
I
find that
remember it.
offensive. That movie?
I remember
about
him
Trading
walking down the
Spaces?
street.
But the reality of that is some history there, right? And that movie exists, right? Whether it's right or wrong, it was a piece of history at that time. And to hold C. Thomas Howell accountable 30 years later for making that movie and never giving him an opportunity to make a movie again
But that's
is
not
ridiculous.
Ralph Northam.
Okay, so let's translate it to this, right? So let's just take the blackface example, right? As much as we know today that it's inappropriate and wrong, 40, 50 years ago, there were people still doing it. Right or wrong, whatever your value is, it happened and it
Well,
did thing. But to tell somebody that they need to stop doing a job because of something they did 50 years ago as a kid I think is ridiculous.
40.
Because we've all made mistakes as young kids, and there are pictures taken that I would be like, I can't believe I did that today, and I'm ashamed that I did that. But should I not have my job?
40, 50 years ago, you can't get into a reggae show if you know what I mean? Everything's segregated 40, 50 years ago. It's going to be really hard for people. I mean,
I think
I don't know.
you're
I mean,
getting
I think
your
if you're
time
talking
scales wrong
about
here.
like 60, 70
Not-
years ago, what you're talking about here is a governor, not an actor. Like, you're talking about a
And he
state
was-
elected official.
he was
This man is
25
not an actor.
And in medical school.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like, when I heard this story, my first tendency was to say it was a different time. But it really wasn't a different time.
in the 80s.
Like, it was a time when it still should have been shunned. Like, the idea that there's this book from the time that I was alive where there's a group of professionals that feel like it's okay to dress in blackface is disconcerting, sort of at a foundational level. But again, I'm sort of in the same boat that you are, in that you don't want to take away someone's livelihood for a stupid mistake they made. But his livelihood is representing people. Like, he is essentially like the person of authority that's supposed to be representing his constituencies' perspectives, viewpoint, what is best for them. So for me, there's this dialogue that I'm having with myself internally. First of all, does he deserve to lose his job simply for dressing in blackface? I genuinely don't know. If he did it today, hands down for sure. Because he did it 40 years ago, maybe not as critical that he lose his job. However, the moment that he states that he's unwilling to step down from his job for doing this egregious thing that is insulting to the people that he represents, all of a sudden it becomes way more critical that he lose that job.
Correct.
And then when he turns around and says, I'm not going to leave my job because it's not me in the picture. I did blackface, but it's not me in the picture. Then it becomes
being honest,
paramount
Right.
for him to lose his job.
So,
But it becomes about something else at that point.
No.
It becomes about lying and cheating and not admitting that you were in blackface. Two different things.
No, so I think that it starts as two different things, but when you can't equate the hurt that you're causing from this behavior to the job that you're doing.
Okay, so let's use another example. Just hold on a second. I just want to hold on a second. So let's say when 1992, I'm about a senior in high school. I'm not saying I did this, but I'm saying I'm 18, 20 years old. Okay,
He absolutely did this.
I put no, I didn't actually, but this is a great example. So I put on blackface, but as Mr. T, and gold chains, and act as Mr. T, and then 30 years later, I run for governor. Just on that principle alone, is that different?
No, that's no different at all.
Right.
That is exactly the point. It was a dumb thing to do, and if you don't acknowledge that,
But okay, so let's ask a question.
hold on.
Can I speak a little bit? Yeah.
No,
It's not like you, Alena. You can't.
So, like, what you're talking about with, like, doctors reminds me of, like, this thing that I don't know if people are aware that doctors do to women that are getting gynecological exams. I don't know if people are aware of this, but when you go in for a surgery or something, they will put women on heavy sedatives, and they will have, like, I read this story on NPR. It's 100% real. They will put doctors in the room, like training doctors, and have them do gynecological exams for practice on sedated women. And you know, doctors are weird people. Doctors are strange. I had a friend recently tell me never date a doctor because they have all those drugs.
That was last year on NPR, I remember that.
I have a question So when I was growing up, I'm a bit older than most of the people here, there was a TV show on the BBC.
Black and white minstrel show.
You got it.
Yeah.
The Black and White Minstrel Show.
Yeah.
Finally finished in 1978-79.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
If one of those guys, a young dancer, let's say, you know, maybe 22 or something like that then, right? That dancer would be younger than I am now. And so would that mean that that person could not be, for example, a member of Parliament because he had been in a chorus line of black and white minstrels?
No, and again, that's kind of the point. Like, there's a difference between acknowledging that you have done something wrong that may be significant enough that it causes you to have effects in your life later on.
Because the thing with this Northam guy, it seems to me,
I agree with that perspective.
is this. Are you seriously telling me that he never looked at his yearbook page ever from when the book came out, right, to when it hit him 3 weeks ago? He didn't know what was on that page. And that's what I probably believe that maybe he didn't dress up. But the point is, the picture was there.
That's not what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's not saying that he didn't dress up.
No,
he's saying specifically that he did dress up.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is, let's just give the guy a pass just for a moment, just for this conversation. Let's just say it wasn't him, right? And that
What
somebody.
wasn't him?
Yep. No, just let me finish. Let's just say.
What wasn't him?
You're like the
picture
guy on
itself.
Saturday Night Live. What I'm trying to get at is, does anyone seriously believe?
You did a Kenan Thompson impression there. For
Yeah,
a second.
does anyone seriously believe that he didn't look at the book? That's what got me going. What it's saying is, he didn't know the picture was in the book.
No,
and
no.
what I'm saying is, he
We're
must
missing
have.
the point.
What I'm getting
This
at
is
is
a different point.
My point is that the governor is lying.
I am not sure that I don't believe it. You don't
Kathleen.
look at old yearbooks. I never looked at any yearbook that came out from.
Oh, you should check out my high school.
I just didn't bother. Okay, and I would. It's entirely possible that he hasn't bothered ever. He says he never bought the yearbook when it came out, and so he never saw the thing.
It's not
it's
that
possible.
he's wearing blackface. You've seen the picture. Right. He's wearing blackface next to a guy wearing
In
Ku
a
Klux
cake.
Klan
Yeah,
fucking
right.
costume.
Right, yeah,
You
that's the
gotta be
fucking
kidding
issue.
me. It's
Yeah.
his page.
It's
It's his personal yearbook page. If you go in politics, you can expect every yearbook page of yours to be examined under a microscope. Everything you posted, every tweet you've ever done, every Facebook post.
It's probably him I just believe he might not have seen it there. I'm not saying that
Maybe
he was
he
not
was
lying
raised
about
to-
it not being him. What I'm saying
I'm
is,
not trying to
I
make
guess
excuses. I'm just
my
trying to be
argument
goofy. I'm
is
sorry,
that
everybody.
people make
it's a-
mistakes. My contention with this fella is that just own it. Just say,
But you
you know
didn't
what,
say it.
that was.
Yeah.
You know, I made a poor decision, or that was the time, and we dressed up. We thought it was going to be a funny joke to do this. I'm sorry. I'm not going to resign because I made a mistake as a kid, because that would be ridiculous. I'm going to model behavior of apologizing for a mistake when I was there. That's what integrity is about, right?
So can
integrity
I talk about
would be.
Charlie Chaplin for a
I'm
second?
just saying
You wanna
that
say
that.
something, Dad?
I just want to say that just once I want to steal a car by opening the door, which it's not only open, but also the key will be in the visor.
Or
Can
the
I-
keys
can I talk about Charlie
Yes, the
Chaplin?
keys will be in the
What's
visor.
going on with Mr. Charlie Chaplin?
So Charlie Chaplin's autobiography.
Great
he
book.
he apologizes for so much in that book, for so much of his films, so much of his work, and one of the things he apologizes about is in the film The Kid. So the film The Kid, if anybody's watched it, he's lauded as a comedic genius. His movie descriptions sound depressing as fuck. The film The Kid is about him finding an abandoned child, and he raises the child. So he apologizes for several things. When he goes back on that, he apologizes for not using a black actor as the child. He did use a black actor in another scene, but he felt like he didn't want to play into stereotypes about children. But he apologizes because he said that other actor was a much better actor than the actor he used
As a kid.
And he apologized for starting the child acting business.
Yeah.
He said that he did not know that the result of using a child in a film was going to be that child was going to have their whole life.
And that was the first time. Billy Corgan, right?
Jackie Coogan.
Jackie Coogan.
And there's a whole law now,
The Coogan
Jackie
law.
Coogan's law.
Yeah, that's an incredible book. And yeah, apology is kind of gone out of style. Nobody apologizes
But
for
Pete
anything
Davidson
anymore.
does.
Yeah, he did.
He does repeatedly on that show. He
I want to
apologizes.
ask, what the fuck is wrong with Virginia? Is like every stupid person in the world. The attorney general
State.
is now admitting wearing blackface. These idiots admitting wearing blackface.
It's not just
other people
Virginia.
are wearing blackface. No, it's fucking Virginia. What the fuck is
no,
wrong
it's
with Virginia?
all of the entire
No,
bloody South and
I wanna know.
and half of the rest of the country.
I want to know if there's somebody.
blackface.
Infiltrated Virginia.
I want to know if there's somebody in Virginia who's actually putting shoe polish on their shoes. I mean, this is just so fucking
I
stupid.
actually have.
What about
yeah.
black lingerie? Is that allowed?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's absolutely ridiculous. What the hell is wrong with these people?
I'm just
I mean,
a guy playing a guy.
And by the way,
playing another guy.
So is that Tropic Thunder? Oh my God! What an amazing
Can't get away from
movie.
it. He can't do that again, right?
Yeah, and remember that car I stole? If the keys don't fall from the visor, I want to mess with a couple of wires under the steering wheel and randomly start the car. Yeah.
Okay, just a
Yeah.
thought. I had to go shopping today.
Yes.
God.
This is random. Yeah.
It's a bit random. So I walk out of Target, right? I walk across the car park, and there was a woman walking next to me. And we realised that our cars were parked next to each other. So, of course, being the English gentleman that I am, I let her go first. And she smiled and said thank you and got in her car, and I couldn't get in mine. Bastard thing wouldn't open. Right, and my car has an automatic door thing, so it knows me when I get there.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah, and I'm thinking,
automatic door thingy on my car.
bastard thing wouldn't open.
I don't want my car to
So
know
she,
who I am.
so this woman drives away, and I'm left there opening the door. And I couldn't get in. And you bastard
Actually
thing.
had to use a key.
And then I realised I was trying to get in the wrong car.
You are old.
No, I've done that before.
I've done that.
And I thought, where's my car?
Yeah.
And it was in the next row, right? And so I sort of let go, and I walked very quietly across to my car and slid into my car as quickly as I could. And I'm thinking, my God, I'm not a refugee. What am I? A permanent refugee? No, a permanent
Resident.
Permanent resident.
Does that mean pain in the ass?
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Do you
I'm thinking
remember-
if I got
do you
if there'd been a
remember-
police officer there?
The time we came out of the theater
Jesus Christ.
in Kansas City, the outdoor theater, and walked to our car, and we were walking across the car park, and you went beep beep with your car clicker, and the lights flashed on our car, and I went in and got in the car, and I looked around, and there were gloves and things that I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
But it was
Maybe he bought a bunch of.
no, and the people who were right behind us who had clicked their car at the same instant
Yeah.
that was two down from our car.
It's because everybody has silver
were
and
kind
white
of staring
cars.
at me,
Every
seeing
car
me
in this
get
town
into
is
their
silver and
car.
white.
It was so embarrassing.
So this goes
I'm
back
getting
Very
really
funny, but it was
this
very
goes back to
embarrassing.
the movie thing, right?
Yeah.
How many
Bugatti.
movies do you see
No.
them searching through the parking lot, looking at door handles to get in?
Yeah, the third
and there's
car.
never everybody gets in trouble.
Yeah.
Jeremy just proved that can happen in a movie.
Speaking of cars, just once, I want to be able to do a dramatic shoulder roll and slide across the hood of a car while chasing a bad guy with a car on my path.
You
Also,
wouldn't be a stuntman in all my movies.
yeah.
Dukes of
Just
Hazzard.
just once, I want to hack into any computer in the world by guessing the password on the third try. Just one time. Also, you know what else? I want to walk into a bar with the bar having a newscast on the TV for no reason whatsoever,
I've been
which
there.
no bar does that anymore.
No, they
and
do.
the newscast will be
Your head.
it will be conveniently part of the plot of the movie. It will be like propel the plot of the movie. Just once.
Can I tell you that one time I had this experience where the newscast was on and it was during the Ferguson trials. And I was in a bar and they turned it on and everybody got quiet.
Like in a movie.
Like in a movie. And we all went to the
Well,
front.
that happens in 9/11 and
I was-
Ferguson, but
But
I
serious
was
events.
in Idaho Springs, Colorado, in a bar, watching OJ in his white Bronco.
Everybody watched
like
the OJ stuff.
super important things, you
Who
know.
was OJ?
I don't. Some
Everybody
famous,
watched those ones.
Orange juice
some
thing.
famous.
Dr. Orlando.
So I have literally walked away from an explosion.
No
fully aware that the
way.
explosion
you-
was going to happen
A-
behind me.
and you didn't turn around.
And I didn't.
Just shut the
like,
hell up.
And didn't turn around.
Shut the
I
hell.
have
I'm not
literally
buying this shit.
guessed the password on the third try. There was
You
one other one
hacked
that
into
you.
it.
Okay, then tell me this. Have you at least once, in the middle of a gunfight, started doing cartwheels? For no particular because
Jackie
because
Chan.
apparently cartwheels make you bulletproof and make you go faster, I guess.
I
I
can't do cartwheels.
have walked into a restaurant and 5 women that I was dating were sitting in the
Oh, what's up, player?
That's a rom-com.
And
That's a
he could hear
rom-com.
what they're talking about.
That's the
in his
plot of
head.
That was the best part.
That is the plot of. Okay, how about this? Just once, have you been in a gunfight, in a hailstorm of bullets? Have you stopped and made an annoyed face and said, "I didn't sign up for this"?
No, that one I
At least
haven't done.
once.
Not every day of my life.
I did
Okay.
one time have a dance-off against Ronan the Destroyer.
One time I was sold into slavery and became a gigantic muscle machine and then saved the world.
Quickly, to take you back to the question, why are menstrual shows so offensive? Do you know?
Minstrel shows?
So here's the deal.
Yeah.
So the originally a minstrel show is gonna be like a circus.
Yes.
It's gonna be like a circus.
Yeah.
An original minstrel show is a circus, and like something that Charlie Chaplin was doing. Like he was doing silent films, silent acting before even doing films because he was considered a political insurgent, even though he was just a comedian. So he had to do all his acts without speaking. So originally a minstrel show is just going to be a circus, and it's
Yeah.
going to have all sorts of types of people in it because that's what circuses are. Circuses are realms of diversity, sometimes vestiges of diversity, sometimes, the diversity is forced upon the people in the circus. But that's what a minstrel show originally was. And then what ends up happening is we get into these sneech machine type of situations where, oh, this is cool now, that's cool now. Oh, you're not allowed to do this unless you're that. You're not allowed to sing this way unless you're this way. You're not allowed. And it's other people making the rules. And once the Sneetch machine starts going, people will jump into the Sneetch machine and do whatever they can. And sometimes it's not even their choice. Like, people were accusing Ariana Grande, of all people, of doing blackface when she's just tan.
Did you hear about
like-
Katy Perry's shoes?
I've heard something.
They're hassling her because she has two colored pairs of shoes. One like a tan that has a face on it, and a black pair that has a face on it. And they're accusing her of making blackface shoes. And I'm like,
It's
'Cause she
taking it too far. But the minstrel
But
shows
there were some gross things, yeah.
Right.
in the 20s and 30s, these vaudeville troops started crisscrossing Europe. They were American troops, and they would have white people in blackface and exaggerated like caricatures, and they would play characters, a black character that was a slave and portrayed as a comical figure not worthy of being a citizen or part of democracy. And those exaggerated caricatures became part of the minstrel show, and so it was a really offensive, incredibly offensive character that went on to the 70s. Like Jeremy mentioned, the black and white minstrel show on BBC until 78. You said it went on until 78, and they took it down. They took it off air because at this point they were like, this is incredibly offensive and ridiculous. So
Okay, we've got a couple more minutes, just about maybe 4 or 5 minutes. We did this the other day, and I thought it was fascinating. What story are each of you personally interested in, other than what we've just talked about, that you want the undressed to be aware of? Don't need to talk about it for 10 minutes. I'm just interested in what story in the media are you just personally following, and why? Just keep it really short. Alena, let's go with you.
Okay. I am always following anything I can learn about Bill Hicks, because he was my favorite comedian, and they just did a documentary made by his family that is on Netflix right now, and I cannot watch it in its entirety at this moment, but that's always a story I'm following.
Dr. Orlando.
Probably I want to know more about Jeff Bezos's dick pics.
Yes, absolutely. That's very important.
Kathleen.
Well, I'm following the Mueller inquiry and the whole Trump-Russia, and waiting for some indictments to come down. I can't wait for the first family indictments. That'd be good. But I'm particularly interested in this company that that they're trying to get papers out of, and I don't know what the hell is going on there. I want to find out.
Josh.
I'm interested in I've been following this different story of kind of like Twitter and the use of social media and people being banned for no reason, and I'm just kind of following this kind of ideology of how this may pan out in the future.
Yeah. Anything that has to do with science, space exploration, and singularity. AI and the singularity. The singularity, you probably
You're
know
a little liar, you are.
Why?
Well, I know what you've been... We haven't done radio for a bit together. I know what you've been following.
Lindsey Vonn.
You got it. Yeah, just because Elena's here, you've got to tell the truth.
Lindsey Vonn retired. But no, seriously, singularity is something that fascinates me.
Yeah.
And this will be a point in our development of artificial intelligence where the advancement will be so massive.
Be nice to your Alexa.
Yeah, the advancement will be so massive that we are not going to be able to register it anymore. It's just going to overwhelm us, and that's the point of singularity. But and that's when AI is going to just take over.
Just be nice to Alexa.
There's a story that I followed that I think is interesting, and that is actually about AI, but it's to do with HR.
Okay.
In that, more and more HR departments are using AI to sift through their applicants.
Yeah.
And the HR organisations are pointing out that a human being can see things that the computer can't see, but they argue that the computer is better for doing it because the computer can't see how gorgeous the girl is, or that the person is disabled, or what have you, right? So they're doing it purely on their CV. It's just an interesting thought. Next week we will do another one of these, but in the meantime, as always, Dr. Ivanov is going to he's got about a minute to do this. He's going to thank our sponsors.
Yeah, and before I thank our sponsors, I want to say that just once, I want to be locked in a room, any room in the world, and crawl out through the mandatory escape air duct, human-sized air duct that always leads to safety. Okay, we are sponsored today by the great Los Angeles Rams. This past Saturday, they generously pledged to donate to the show $1 million for every touchdown they scored during Super Bowl 53. In return, the team asked for nothing from our podcasters but to explain in layman's terms to their coaches and players what a touchdown is and how it is scored. Struck by their philanthropic largesse, you can only imagine the trepidation we watched the game with. Each touchdown by the Rams would have meant $1 million for the podcast. Unfortunately, we discovered that an actual herd of disease-stricken Rams would have scored more touchdowns than the fucking Los Angeles Rams. There was less scoring in this game than at the after party of an accordion festival. There was less scoring in this game than at a Catholic Star Trek convention. Tom Hanks did more scoring in Castaway than these idiots during the game. Jesus freaking Christ. These Rams had less power than the RAM in a gateway computer. For the love of God, the Pakistani Space Agency has more touchdowns than the Los Angeles Rams. In fact, Jeremy Taylor himself has recorded exactly the same number of touchdowns as our wretched sponsors. But hey, we're grateful, assholes.
And who was our
They
sponsor?
approved that copy?
Yes, they
Los
approved that
Angeles
message.
Rams.
Oh, the Los Angeles Rams, of course. I was thinking about rugby. Want to thank our sponsors, of course, the Rams. Want to thank our producer and engineer tonight. It was Eric, the producer, and of course the team, Alena. Who else? We got Kathleen.
No, you
Josh,
remembered my name. That's good.
Dr. Zhivago, Count Ivanov, and my name's Jeremy Taylor. You've been listening to another Wednesday Night Undressed.